I have here with us this afternoon, to start off this session, who is a radiologist and researcher. Dr. Faye Coloma is the current head of the breast clinic and from Makati Medical Center in the Philippines. And as this month, October is the World Breast Cancer Awareness Month, coincidentally, let me invite Dr. Faye to share her expertise and to place this condition in perspective. Over to you, Dr. Faye.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Gerald, October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast cancer is due to rapid abnormal growth of cells forming tumor, which can grow to any part of the breast. The World Health Organization shows that in the year 2020, there are a lot of new cases of breast cancer. And based also on their data, breast cancer is the most cancer in women. Breast cancer is one of the dreaded diseases by women, and this usually affects ages 40 years old and above. But nowadays, we're seeing younger women developing this disease. Thus, it is important that we have to recognize its signs and symptoms as seen in this slide. So you have to know the signs and symptoms.
Thank you, Dr. Faye. And for that, I would like you to hold it there. And when I'll come back to you later to continue about your insights. But at this point, I would like to welcome next a person who has to face the inevitable and gone through that cancer ordeal. This amazing lady who has been in preschool education for over 40 years, immersing her whole life into her career. She has worked as the head of an international kindergarten in Kuching, Sarawak in East Malaysia, and she retired at the end of last year. Now, we face different crises in life, and there are those who may feel discouraged when dealing with them. But when Amy encountered her life crisis, she fought it like a warrior. So let us go straight into meeting the remarkable Amy Chong.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Gerald, for inviting me to share my cancer and my experience of overcoming it. And I hope that this afternoon, my sharing with all of you will give you a better understanding of coping with cancer if you are a cancer patient or a caregiver, or you know of someone who has cancer. When did it all begin? Let's turn the clock back to July 2014. I went for my usual annual mammogram, pap smear tests, and ultrasound scan. And usually, within 3 or 4 days, I will hear of the results. However, this time, I hadn't heard from my doctor for 6 days. So I called him, and he said, I was just about to call you. Your results have come in. Your mammogram is clear, but I am concerned that there is a lump on your left breast. Please come to the clinic without delay. We need to talk about it. At the clinic, Dr. Ben informed me that although he was concerned, he felt that it was important to go for a biopsy first. And so he arranged for me to see the oncological surgeon the very next day to have the biopsy. And the biopsy would usually take 3 or 4 days to have the results out. Well, at this time, I was still feeling pretty optimistic. Surely this is nothing to worry about. This is quite routine. And well, I'll pray harder for the next 3 or 4 days until my results come out. I'll be okay. July 31st, the day of reckoning, the day when I got my results. Even today, when I recall these memories, it is painful. And it is very difficult to forget to this day. I remember very clearly what the surgeon said to me. I'm sorry, your results are positive, and the tumor is malignant. You have breast cancer. On hearing this shocking diagnosis, my mind went into, I just can't describe it. It's just like a world, so many things was like in my mind. But what was so clear was, oh no, the dreaded it had come into my life. I am not prepared for this.
I think, Amy, we can all relate to that kind of shocking news that came into your ears. I can feel that it can stun any person. But however, what were your feelings at that point when you found out that you were now diagnosed with breast cancer then?
Initially, disbelief and anger welled up in me. How is this possible? I had a pretty healthy diet. I do not smoke or drink except for an occasional social drink. Was this some kind of punishment? I had not harmed anyone in my life or done anything dishonest or shameful. So why me? Why was this happening to me? And why were the jaws of death staring at me? Then I started to feel guilt. Did I do something that I wasn't supposed to do? Or maybe I did something that I wasn't supposed to. With death staring at me in the face, I became very frightened, and I just felt that I was sinking into a deep, bottomless pit, and I was struggling to get out of the pit. It was painful, and I just felt that my whole world had collapsed. Then the tears came. I don't know how long I cried, but it was as if the floodgates had opened. My husband and son were in shock and at a loss and didn't know how to console me, as they were also dealing with the bad news. Excuse me. Over the next few days, I alternated between despair and hope. I was in agony. However, when reality sank in, I had to switch on my rational mind to take action. It was up to me to survive and get out of the clutches of death or to give in to the illness. I chose to be victorious. As my cancer was of the aggressive kind, the oncological surgeon wanted to schedule the surgery for a mastectomy as quickly as he could. I had to manage all the consequences that came with the bad news, making many decisions and acting on my decisions simultaneously, which hospital to have the surgery and treatment, arranging for my medical insurance to pay for the medical related expenses, and at the same time having a series of pre-surgery tests. Never have I had so many tests: blood tests, x-rays, MRIs, and CT scans. And what was also quite frightening was I was told to have a dental visit. I had to check all my teeth because during chemotherapy, if any of my tooth needed to be extracted, the hole in the gum will never grow back again. So it was all this that I had to experience. And as my emotions were still very raw, especially at night when everyone else was sleeping, I knew I had to deal with these emotions in order to move on. I relied strongly at first on family support and friends support, but over time, I developed my own coping mechanism. I realized that if I simply reacted to my raw emotions, it could mean making poor choices. A dilemma that I faced was whether to have reconstructive surgery, to have an implant. I heard from a counselor friend of mine that many women, especially the younger women, were always faced with these thoughts and had to deal with these thoughts. Am I less of a woman because I have a fake breast? What would my husband think of me as a woman? Will I be less attractive physically? What do you think I chose? As I was already then 60 years of age, I decided not to have any implants. I felt that I was not less of a woman if I had one missing breast. My husband will accept me for who I am. In actual fact, I am no stranger to cancer. In 1995, my late father was diagnosed with the cancer of the thymus, which is a very rare form of cancer. And although I was not the main caregiver, I was with him throughout his treatment with chemotherapy and radiotherapy. My father had a difficult time during the treatment, but not once did he complain. In fact, he was often jovial, funny, and determined to fight his cancer. He even held a grand 71st birthday celebration, and the family was so proud of his fighting spirit. My mom was diagnosed with the beginning stage of breast cancer as well in the 1990s. She had a mastectomy, but she is a fighter. She is a cancer warrior, and she overcame her illness with her courage and never let cancer rule her life. She just celebrated her 92nd birthday last month. As my parents displayed such mental strength in the face of adversity, I decided that I had to fight my own battle with courage and resilience. I recall a motivational quote from Zig Ziglar, and he said, "Fear, F-E-A-R, has two meanings. Forget everything and run, or forget everything and rise." I was not going to let the lingering shadows of death deter me in my fight.
Indeed so, Amy. I can hear, I empathize. So many illnesses can be impacted by external environment, and there will be some carried over by family genes in your case. And there's a certain oncogene that is even responsible for many major cancers ever known. And breast cancer is one of them. Having been a caregiver yourself, we hear to both your parents, your mom and dad. So how do you develop this sense of resilience and strength and to cope in combating your own illnesses?
In order to prepare us, the Cancer Center at the hospital arranged for a counseling session before my chemotherapy to advise us on the do's and the don'ts, as well as to be aware of the possible changes in the patient during chemotherapy. Mood swings, compromised immunity, lack of appetite, and extreme fatigue were some of the side effects that the family and patient had to be aware of. I was determined not to be a burden to my husband and son. So I didn't treat myself like a patient, and I lived as normal a life as possible. My oncologist, whom I have a great respect for, was often consulted, and he also encouraged me to continue doing what I enjoyed, and just remember to be more careful. It is important to work closely with oncologists because many well-intentioned people would come and give you advice, change your treatment, go on a vegetarian diet, and there are so many forms of advice that in the end you become very confused. So I always went back to my oncologist to talk to him, and he was very happy that throughout my chemotherapy, I maintained my weight because physical strength during chemotherapy is very important. So I continued working, and I went about with my daily routine of marketing, shopping for groceries, going for walks, and all that. And I would fly from Kuching to Singapore every 3 weeks during the last course of my cancer treatment. And I took the opportunity then to catch up with my friends. I received constant support and encouragement from my family and friends. One of my sisters bought me beautiful hats and headdresses when I lost my hair. And another sister arranged for a pastor to pray for me, and another sister came to cook for me before I started my chemo and during my chemotherapy. And friends of different religious denominations sent me prayers and words of encouragement. I did not heal in isolation, but in a community. I was also very touched by my kindy team, and my teachers took on whatever they could to help themselves, to problem solve, and only came to me when they really needed help. They knew how much I loved the children, and they would often share funny anecdotes of how the children showed their concern for me. When I felt down, I would recall these anecdotes, which made me feel better and bring a smile to my face. The children and their pictures were a strong source of encouragement. I remember one instance when the children were asking the teachers how they could help me. So the teachers explained that they could pray. And one of my little bright sparks was concerned. He was worried because he said he only went to church once a week and he only prayed once a week, and whether this was fine and whether it would be helpful to me. Another instance was when amongst themselves, the children were discussing how they should pray, whether they should kneel, they should sit, they should stand. And to me, like my teachers were saying, it is always very interesting to listen into their conversations because they have their own logic. And I do believe that children have great empathy and compassion. And when they know that they can do their bit to help, they would do their best to support. When I was informed by the oncologist that I would need 14 months of active treatment of chemotherapy and radiotherapy, I knew from my father's experience that I needed to be strong mentally to motivate myself. The thought of the number of times when blood had to be drawn as the chemo progressed, the veins hardening made blood taking more painful each time. And this was something that I really dreaded. I promised myself that when I completed the 14 months, I would reward myself with a big toy. I will let you guess for now what my toy was. I always did countdowns as well to motivate myself. And I would tell myself, right, I finished one round of chemotherapy. I've got 2 more rounds to go. So I'm 1/3 done. And this really helped because you can see that you're moving closer and closer to finishing and to getting my goal of my toy. I was determined to conquer the cancer, and I always reframe my thoughts to look on the brighter side rather than to see the negative. Some of you may be familiar with a song called I Will Survive. The words in the song, I've got all my life to give, to live. I've got all my love to give. I will survive, resonated very strongly in me. Laughter is the best medicine, indeed. I would cheer myself by watching online comedies and ventriloquism acts. I particularly enjoy the light-hearted banter between the ventriloquist and the puppet because it was so lifelike. And being able to laugh at the antics of comedians like Mr. Bean was a good coping mechanism and a good distraction from getting negative, dark thoughts, especially on nights when I was unable to sleep or when I experienced inexplicable pain in my bones. Other cancer patients have shared similar experiences and that they often cry at night as they feel very alone and that no one can understand what they were going through. The feelings that a cancer patient has can be very difficult to comprehend due to the mood swings. It is not that the patient is trying to be difficult or attention-seeking. I was very fortunate that I rarely had mood swings. Another memorable experience was when I learned to laugh at myself and singing. And as the chemo sessions can last a few hours, I usually read a book or I watch a movie to entertain myself. During one of the sessions, I brought along my iPad where I had saved my favorite songs. And as I had my headphones on, I forgot that everyone else could hear me sing. Yes. When I went home and I mentioned to my family, my husband and son, that I enjoyed my singing session, my son said, "Mommy, you know that people can hear you sing, right?" Oh, when he said that, oh my gosh, like, goodness me, I forgot about that. So I started to laugh at the thought of the nurses and patients rolling their eyes, listening to me singing. Fortunately, no one complained or tell me to stop when I was singing. So I guess my singing was quite tolerable.
Oh, Amy, it's so heartwarming to know that you had the support needed around you. And one thing is that you kept focused ahead on the light at the end of the ordeal. When will it finish? It is coming to the nearing end. And you even search for more creative and productive ways to cope with what you're going through. So on that note, our cells, to let you all know, too, will need constant support and strengthening. Because our own cells too can be damaged, just like our human heart and our human body, with toxicity and deficiency. What kind of toxicity is from the environment impact, the strong medications or others, and on the deficiency side, it can be from the dietary resources like missing certain nutrients and lack of good oxygenation, things like that. And the incidence of all this accumulated together will lead to a whole host of the most cancer-causing death or mortality ever known for both male and female. So during that stage, Amy, would you be faced with a barrage of information overload on what to do, which I heard you say there's so many people recommending all the different things that you should do and you should not do. And more importantly, do you take any particular health supplements or probably extra nourishment of some kind to help support yourself to maintain your energy level?
I'm glad that you asked me this, Gerald. I was very fortunate that my husband's friend Charlie heard of my illness. He happened to be talking to a friend, Alvin. And during the conversation, Charlie mentioned me. Alvin was into preventive health and wellness, and he shared with Charlie that he might have a natural supplement called Selagen that could help me cope with the treatment better. Charlie immediately called my husband and brought Alvin to meet us. And as you know, chemotherapy helps with killing of cancer cells. But on the other hand, the drugs also affect other parts of the body and organs too. It takes 5 years for the body to get rid of the drugs. I knew that I needed some kind of natural supplementation to strengthen me. But what kind of high quality supplement could I take? I always regard Alvin as one of my guardian angels. He appeared in my life when I most needed help. I'm also thankful that I did not hide or keep my illness a secret. If I did, I would not have met Alvin and Selagen.
Well, Amy, now that you have met Alvin and you have gone through a lot of good support, so how was your experience when you started to take Selagen as your main supplement, this particular recommendation that you were asked to take?
I started on Selagen before my chemo began, and I experienced such good benefits since taking it. And throughout my treatment, as my immune system was boosted by Selagen, I did not miss any of my sessions, and my treatment actually proceeded according to schedule. And I finished the active treatment within the 14 months as planned by the oncologist. When I was at work, I was full of vitality and energy. And as the Kindy campus was big, I often walked about 8,000 steps a day. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and started my work day at 6:45 a.m. and only finished school at 4:15 p.m. I would then drive home, have a little nap, and then wake up to cook dinner. Another fantastic benefit that I was not aware of during my treatment was the effect of Selagen on my skin. I had a total of 25 radiotherapy sessions over 5 weeks. And before I started the sessions, I was counseled about not applying body cream or body lotion on my body because it could affect the effectiveness of the radiotherapy. And I was then given a card, and it had a scale of 0 to 10, and 10 meaning most painful. And I was asked to indicate the level of pain after each session, and my entry was always 0. The technician who was performing the radiotherapy was quite puzzled. He asked me time and time again if I was applying body lotion to moisturize my skin. Because from his experience, usually halfway through the sessions, the skin would start to break. And that's when the patient start to feel unbearable pain. But I didn't have any pain. He actually expected my skin to break as the sessions continued. But I did not once, even right to the end, the last session, have any discomfort. Which later, when I was talking to Alvin, I mentioned my chemotherapy experience, Only then did I learn how Thalagen took care of my skin. As mentioned, the chemo drugs can impact the other parts of the body. So my heart was checked on regularly. If the drugs affected the performance of my heart, the chemo treatment would be called off. Luckily for me, my heart and the other organs were fine. And I attest this to taking Thalagen. I was very fortunate also that my finger and toenails remained pinkish and did not turn black, because I've seen the black finger and toenails on other patients.
Referring to actually what you have mentioned, your supplementation experience, there are publications where I look through it, and which I have usually for breakfast for all clinical papers in the morning. I was reading through, and there are published clinical evidence to prove that this supplement can significantly protect against ultraviolet irradiation. And when you undergo your various aggressive treatments, simply means that what happened that your skin tissue matrix has been really strengthened. All right. Also, there is another active ingredient from this marine extract called peptide E collagen. It is more to improving on the skin to bone connective tissues, and this reduces pain and allowing the collagen fibers to reform, and so bringing about the improvement on the conditions of the body's cartilage even. And which you have mentioned, you have certain pain score that you will go through, and your lower back pain, and you have various places of pain. So simply saying this particularly ingredient will bring out the skin elasticity, the resilience, and its springiness. That means to say that when you press on your skin, yeah, it will springs back just like a little child's skin. Yeah. So there is also an example of an actual experience for a Madam Yeoh, which shows 2 years later, you can see that the difference with better nourished skin and better regenerated skin. Another key ingredient, as you talk about, you're recalling, Amy, you had a lot of vitality, you got a lot of stamina, you said you were working, and you were moving around, you're very positive. And more crucially, when you completed your active 14 cycle treatment on schedule with no delay, that is really amazing. And this had a lot to do with boosting of your immune system. And with that, the hydro N peptide, another ingredient in that antioxidant that you're taking, is another active ingredient to note. Because why? It proves not only does it reduce the glucose impact, but it also promotes satiation. That is to increase the fullness, so you will snack less. Jeannie had this particular friend who's called Mr. Nani Almeida, and because he has conditions with diabetes, and because of that, he tried all kinds of supplementations, all kinds of health products, and he stumbled upon Thalagen, and he was thinking, okay, why not give it a try? Because it has certain data. And when he took it for about a couple of months later, he saw his glucose impact improve. And it seems that his insulin inside the pancreas started reproducing more and more. And so his dosing of insulin was being titrated off, and now he's just normal drug therapy. So a marvelous improvement on his health. And from what I heard from the last time is that he spends now more quality time with his family, right? And coming to you, Amy, I do recall that you still suffer from a bit of a numbness in your fingers and feet. You were mentioning to me at one time. Can you tell us more about those?
That's true, Gerald. When I first experienced the numbness after the first round of chemotherapy, I could not gauge how much pressure I had to exert to hold things without dropping them. And my very first experience was when I had just bought a tray of eggs. I just dropped the whole tray of eggs. and I was so shocked. I just burst into tears. Since then, I have learned to be mindful and more careful when I use my hands to hold things. When I'm washing up the plates after dinner, or handling eggs again. I treat the numbness as an inconvenience, and I do not let it deter me from doing things. I'm very proud to say that I can still sew back a loose button. When the numbness will go away is anyone's guess. The oncologist says some people have it for 5 years and it goes away. Some people say some people experience it for 10 years, some people don't. Well, I just hope for the best. And as I was also put on oral therapy after the active treatment, the drug also depleted my calcium and elevated my cholesterol level. Because of the numbness on the sole of my feet, when I don't get a very good feeling, I am mindful when I'm walking, especially on wet surfaces or when it rains, because I cannot afford to have a fall and break my bones, especially my hip bones, because that could be life-threatening. So, and the drug also affected my joints, and I was often in pain. However, I am so very happy to share with all of you that from April last year, I was taken off all oral chemotherapy drugs also, and I no longer need to take any medication. So I am now drug-free and released from the chains of all my chemo drugs. Yay!
Hey, congratulations, Amy. I'm so happy that you are now off all the medication, and feeling a sense of normalcy is so important for you. So I would like to catch on from what you were saying, and to bring to the attention of the rest here on one more ingredient called the hydro-M peptide. The chondroitin sulfate is an important structure for cartilages, and it provides much of its strength of resistance and compression. So along with the glucosamine, it has become widely used as a treatment for osteoarthritis. And speaking of that, I would like to invite Susanna, right? A good friend of mine who works in a hospital pharmacy, and she likes to share her personal experience. And she says she wants to tell us about the choices she has made and what these has done to her quality of life. Now you can unmute yourself, Susanna, and let's bring her on.
Thank you, Gerald. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, for a few years, I was suffering from aching, nagging pain in both my knees and my lower back every day and throughout the day, and worse at night when I got back from work. That was on a normal day. On a full-blown day, that's when I had pain all over my body. I don't even know where there's no pain. I dared not move much, and breathing was a challenge for me. I was diagnosed with two illnesses, osteoarthritis and fibromyalgia. Osteoarthritis is actually the wear and tear of the cartilage, the connective tissue that supports the joints. And fibromyalgia is a widespread musculoskeletal pain that affects bones, joints, ligaments, tendons, or muscles, or any of them together. That means pain all over my body and on tender points, my neck, my back, my knees, my ankles. On top of that, I will also have fatigue, extreme tiredness. I can't sleep well. I have frequent headaches and anxiety sets in. To help me manage all these problems and live a close to normal life, I had to take 3 medications daily. Paracetamol, 2 tablets 3 to 4 times a day, and NSAIDs non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs at the maximum dose of 120 milligram Ikoxia almost every day, and to help manage my nerve pain, pregabalin. And I have to take that every night, and it gives me very uncomfortable side effects the next day. I was praying very hard, asking God to help me. I cannot be taking all these medications every day long term. My kidney, my liver will be damaged. And with that, all of me as well, I'm sure. I tried everything. I tried supplements, all kinds, whatever my friends recommend, but nothing works. I felt like a prisoner of pain. Will I be able to get out of this prison? That was the question I always ask myself. And when I pray, I ask God that too. Well, one day, I was recommended to take Saligen. I was deciding to try or not to try. But having tried so many supplements over the years, what is one more? So I took 2 soft gels every day. I had to start with 2 because my condition was pretty bad. Amazingly, I started to experience positive changes. The first 2 weeks, I was feeling more energetic. By the end of 1 month, the stiffness I usually get in the morning was much reduced. I could get up from my bed faster than ever before. As the week progresses, the pain became lesser and the intensity lesser too. And I was able to reduce my pain management medications. And today, I'm so happy and so proud to tell you that my pain medications have been reduced tremendously. Paracetamol, which I used to take daily, I now take not more than 5 times a month. And NSAIDs, the non-steroidal medication, I take not more than 3 times a month. Sometimes maybe 4, but a month, not more than four times or 3 times. And the nerve pain medication, I'm totally free of it. I don't need to take it for the last 3 months. I feel like I have been given a new lease of life, and I intend to reduce all my medications to 0 in the very near future. Now I have hope. I can see a bright future for me. I am taking back control of my health. Looking back, I realized that Saligen is the key to my prison door. I want to thank Avita and Miss Lee for bringing in this wonderful supplement that helps me free myself from this prison of pain. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you. I share with you your joy of being also free from a lot of medications. And it's wonderful to hear your experience in working towards your freedom from the shackles of pain that you have been with so long. And Amy, what are the lessons that you have picked up and learned which you want to share with everyone here on how to better prepare in the event of a health crisis?
Thank you, Gerald. Through my journey and battle with cancer, I have learned a lot more about the facts of life. First one, health is not appreciated until sickness comes. Most of us tend to take our health for granted. And with modern day living, we are always so busy and preoccupied that our health takes a back seat. Being fit and healthy is not a trend. It should be a lifestyle. Preventive wellness and care with the right supplementation and nutrition is a priority. I encouraged my husband and son to take Saligen 2 as a preventive measure. Seeking a cure or treatment when a sickness comes is expensive, even with medical insurance. Check the terms of your medical insurance carefully. Choose one that offers maximum coverage, even if the premium is slightly higher. I had medical insurance, and I thought when cancer hit, I was fine. I was covered for the surgery, for the treatment, well insured. To my horror, I was informed that my policy only paid 70% of the medical cost at a private hospital. So I still had to pay the other 30% of the cost. And looking back, the amount that I spent can easily get me in Malaysia, a corner terrace house. Another related side effect of the mastectomy surgery was that when the surgery was going on, the surgeon also discovered that some of my lymph nodes were affected. So he had to remove them. And unfortunately, I am one of the 5% of patients who develop lymphedema, which is a swelling on the arm, in my case, due to the buildup of body fluids that would normally be got rid of naturally through the lymph nodes. Initially, I would go to the physiotherapist for my weekly draining of the fluids through the lymphatic massage therapy. But when the pandemic hit, I could not continue. Luckily, my husband was taught the massage therapy, so he could help me to some extent. Now, when there's a buildup of the fluid, my left arm would swell and become heavy, and my shoulders would ache. As you can see, I have got a button on my right that I can button up my sleeves, but I cannot do it on my left because it becomes tight. If I do not clear the buildup of the fluid, I could risk paralysis. And as yet, there is no cure for lymphedema.
Indeed, so many of us, Amy, you're right. Many of us take our good health for granted, and at times we neglect our own body, what our body is trying to tell us, and what the warning signs are. So, what do you think is the cause of all the various cells in the body, the damage that will come in, be it in the breast, in chronic conditions, which leads up to a lot of inflammation? Now, a lot of disease comes with inflammation, all right, in the body. And what is the result of this inflammation if it's prolonged? If you want to type it in the chat, it'll be good. So you can work your fingers now. What is this kind of inflammation? What is this cell damage that will result? And what will result if it's a prolonged inflammation? Okay, you can type it in the chat, and if I can see some of the responses. Yeah.
Answer.
Aha. Yes. So, and when there are actually too many free oxidant radicals in our body, it will start to accumulate. It will cause an inflammation, and over a period, it becomes what you term as a chronic inflammation, and that will be start of different kinds of chronic and medical conditions, from the heart to the kidneys to our autoimmune system, digestive, and the rest of them. All right. And for some diseases, the immune system even fights against the body. Our own cells are being attacked by our own immune system by mistake and causing harmful inflammation, which changes in the blood, changes in our heart rate of metabolism. We become feverish. It will lead to major problems like rheumatoid arthritis, whereby joints are permanently inflamed, and it will lead to even chronic skin disease like psoriasis, whereby the whole immune system is being triggered. And the gut, our own gut inflammation will kick in sometimes, and you have people suffering from Crohn's disease, even though out of the blue, you have no genes particularly inherited. So therefore, chronic inflammation diseases can last for years or even your lifetime to develop into an even more serious condition. And the dreaded one is, as you can see, cancer. However, continuous inflammation, what you people in the doctors medically, they are known as a major cytokine attack, a big inflammatory storm. What is it? It is, in a simple way, it's like your body is inflamed. You can see here. And so what you need to put out the flames is with water, right? But in this case, you use an effective antioxidant. So the effective antioxidant will put out the inflammation. So when our body are damaged by free oxidation radicals, our cells degenerate over time. So what Amy is putting across is that the cells degenerate and become poorer, and she get into a more poorer condition. And the cell can be called going in the aging process, the starting of that. So the cell function get weaker. So if something can stop and interject into it, what can it be? An antioxidant therapy that is given to cells, and it can intercept, prevent further damage, repair and maintain cellular health. It will rebuild and rejuvenate the cells to function again. And this is made possible with the Swiss technology. And that is where you hear what Amy was saying, taking 1 or 2 soft gels a day, even Susanna, to help our cells be better nourished and protected from the aggressive medical treatments and all the inflammations that will come in. And thereby giving them the energy, the vitality, and also the healing process that starts. And this is brought to us by a company based in Singapore, launched in 2007, Avita. And the person responsible behind for this success is a strong lady at the helm called Miss Lee Xiang Yin, who is both the founder and CEO. And now with regional presence across all 9 countries in Asia now, serving a combined population of over 740 million. It is researched this product and developed in Switzerland. And what is it designed for? Is for our body cells. And now it has achieved worldwide accreditation, where every production of this product, Cellogen, is tested by a world governing body for anti-doping, which is a stamp of the BSCG certified as free from all other banned substances, and can be now used for elite athletes and professionals without any adulterated problems. And with such standards and quality recognition, no wonder that top aging doctors in the United States praise this product, Cellogen, as the Rolls Royce of supplements for the human body. In Europe and French, Swiss, they have endorsed this as part of their clinical practice. And here in Asia, Philippines too, it's renowned plastic surgeon, they are anti-aging dermatologists, orthopedic surgeons, and the radiologists highly recommend Cellogen as part of their medical treatment together to their clientele. Life-threatening medical conditions can really stretch us to the limit, both psychologically and mentally. So being better prepared can help in building a stronger you. They have a saying, which is better, to treat and not to eat? Because you eat, you will feed the cancer, and if you feed the cancer will grow. But I personally, as a person in nutrition for so long, feed your body. Let the medication handle and tackle the disease. All right. Coming back to you, Dr. Fay, can you give us your insight on how to fight and prevent breast cancer?
You know, Gerald, I admire Amy's courage and determination in fighting her cancer. You know, we can beat breast cancer. We can beat breast cancer through early detection and screening. But it is said that prevention is better than cure. So I'd say take Celergen to prevent illnesses such as breast cancer.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Fay, to give us your precious takeaway points to know the approaches on fighting cancer and in particular breast cancer. And going over to you, Amy, in parting, would you like to give us some advice to all our friends here?
I totally agree with Dr. Fay that for women, especially early detection of breast cancer is important as it can be treated. I am a survivor thanks to my annual screening. In conclusion to my sharing, my humble advice to all of you is start today to be a better, healthier you. Do something today that your body will thank you for tomorrow. Prevention is better and cheaper than cure. Take high quality natural supplements to build a strong you. Thank you for listening to my story of it came, I fought, I won. Celergen is still my constant companion. And by the way, you can still look glamorous when you are a cancer patient. The picture on the left was taken at my niece's wedding in 2015. And I was in the middle of my chemo treatment. I was a fashionista wearing a maroon headdress to match my outfit. The picture on the right was also taken in 2015. Both my husband and I were invited by Alvin to attend the Avita Awards night. It was a night of glamour. So I had the chance to dress up. And this time I wore a wig. To all the cancer patients, do not despair. Having a strong, positive mindset is half the battle won. You have to believe in yourself. Remember, courage is that quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Thank you, Gerald, for inviting me. And I think there is still some more that we have got to say, right, Gerald?
Yes, and yes, thank you so much, Amy. I really admire your courage up to today. But one thing you mentioned earlier about your big toy reward. So what you have rewarded yourself with?
Actually, I rewarded myself with a car. I love the independence of driving, and I continue to enjoy this sense of freedom. And thank you once again, Gerald, for inviting me and for sharing your knowledge about the science behind Celergen. Like me, I am sure the participants have learned a lot about the great benefits of Celergen. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Now it is revealed to you all the health benefits of what a good specialized antioxidant Celergen can provide. So invest in your body wellness and own a starter pack of 6 boxes for you and your family for preventive health. For the first 3 months, probably you will take 1 or 2 soft gels every day on an empty stomach. And then the first 3 months, observe that there will be a recalibration of your cellular health condition. So decide on your own health today and enjoy the special savings which has been arranged for over 30%. How can you get them? Well, do discuss with the one who invited you here for the details. But in summary, firstly, I would like you all to join me to give a big thanks to Amy for showing us how to face a health crisis by staying always positive and during the times of not knowing what will happen. Next, which is discovering her inner self, the inner strength to keep on fighting relentlessly for life and choose life day after day like a warrior with Celergen as her best companion And I would also like to thank next our medical expert, Dr. Faye, on her advocacy of wellness and of each and every patient that walks through her clinic for treatment, helping them to change their lives and their lifestyle and live better with good antioxidant usage of Selagen. And also I'd like to thank you, Susanna, to share with us that pushing through your many pains in life and never giving up. When later you decide to give Selagen a try, to give you that healing needed to walk one day with your daughter in her wedding gown, to see her, wow, along the church aisle. That will be your day. And thank you, everyone here. And last but not least, a quote from Miss Lee. I think you have mentioned Miss Lee, from founder or CEO of Avita. Her important quote: "Never take life for granted," unquote. So now everybody, please turn on your camera for a group photo and give your heart emoji to Amy and all the guests here. Okay, smile.
Yeah, I'll be taking the photograph. So let's turn on the video on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And let's put our heart emoji and celebrate being a warrior, everybody. Ready? Are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, first page. Okay, first page. Right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So do continue to have a wonderful Sunday afternoon with your family. And on behalf of Amy and the rest of the team and the guests here, thank you for spending your precious time with us. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, Amy.